Nam-myoho Renge Kyo, Nam-myoho Renge Kyo, Nam-myoho Renge Kyo. So this is a form of chanting, or some ways could be described as an auditory form of meditation that I use to help with transitions in life. When I talk about transitions, I talk about turning poison into medicine, making lemonade from lemons. But this idea that things that seem like obstacles before you, people who show themselves to be enemies before you, that they are friends in disguise, that obstacles are opportunities. If only you were able to see how those obstacles, those hurdles, or those people who present themselves as enemies can be friends to you, support your larger mission or cause in life. So I guess in a sense you have to figure out, well, what is the meaning of my life? What do I feel strongly enough about that I'm willing to not be thanked for all the efforts that I make, that I be the only one that thank myself, that I don't have to demonstrate to others what I do necessarily to make those causes, because it's something that I do every day in my life. And I'm talking about the difference between social action and doing things, being an advocate for something in the outer world versus the inner world, versus looking at oneself and how the causes that we make in our everyday lives can really impact a larger mission that is outside of ourselves. So where does that come in? A larger mission that is outside of ourselves and our inner world, where we have conversations with ourselves about how we go about creating chaos or harmony, war or peace in our everyday lives. And to do this in your everyday life, I think those are the thankless causes that we make, sort of in a battle. And I'll go ahead and say it, a battle for world peace. Many people think that spirituality itself is something as a projection of the human mind to respond to our need for security, to respond to our need to make sense of what appears like chaos around us. And there are many ways that we could talk about what it is that we're hearing, that we're seeing: the sunlight, the water, the leaves, the air, the plant, the flora and the fauna that exist around here. In another video, I've talked about it in terms of fractals, in terms of we even talk about a protein. We're built of proteins, and we even know that those things that give instructions for us to be the DNA or an RNA that get passed along, that instruct life to build life. I think we're starting to understand that even how those, very basic building blocks, they are those that nature is so swift, or some people might call it that God is so swift as to make the instructions for life as simple as, a small chain of amino acids. 4 to 5 amino acids in a chain, linked in a particular way, can give the instruction to build something very profound all around us. And I think that such knowledge should humble us, but it should also empower us. It should, if nothing else, make us see how we are connected to the very basic things in life and the more sophisticated things in life. Now, when I say basic and sophisticated, I'm getting back to dialogue, because every aspect of life, every expression of life that we have around us is very much in dialogue with one another. The water that's here exists only because of the plants that are here, the ground that is here, the sun that is giving it energy. And then you could even go so far as to say that this post that is here, the people that have decided to respect this land in a very specific way. That's another kind of dialogue that they are having. Well, what about dialogue when there's conflict? What do we do? Because conflict is inevitable in life. You know, at a certain point, you know, there will be another form of life that will feed on this form of life. Does it pose a conflict? Are they are they conflicting? I think in science classes we look at it as the cycle of life. Okay, an apt metaphor, the cycle of life. So let's look at the cycle of life. The cycle of life is but that dialogue about how we resolve and how we move forward. You know, between the animals that eat the plants, the animals that eat the animals that eat the plants, this cycle, there's this ongoing dialogue of we can't annihilate one another. We certainly must live, somehow come to live in harmony, to live in peace, I would say, because we don't want it to just be to chaos. We don't want it even left to chaos. I think, again, this post is an apt metaphor for our desire to not live in chaos, but our desire to live somehow with the world around us. So how do we do that in our everyday lives? How do we do that when we, just like these plants, face someone who wants to devour us, someone who wants to overpower us, someone who wants to dominate us, someone who wants to completely make their agenda the priority in everybody's life? And you say to yourself, well, that's not my agenda. Whether it be someone who cuts you off in traffic and says, you know, I need to get over here, so I don't care where you're trying to go, but I'm going here. Or a person who does that, you know, in your workplace, who says, you know what, talk to the hand because I need to go over here. That same kind of mentality. You make an enemy out of all of these people who, those are just basic conflicts that I think many people will identify with. But the more specific conflicts with between our partners, with our, you know, with our parents, with our children, abound. But these basic kind of, you know, public conflicts, I would say, do we see that person as, that person's got an agenda and I'm going to get them, or even at best, do you have to dismiss them? What if you even say to yourself, there's something going on in that person's life that's preventing them from being compassionate to the people around them, that's preventing them from seeing that they don't have to sort of be offensive to the people around them, that they don't have to that talk to the hand, that they can recognize that that's not dialogue. Well, there is something, look at that talk to the hand example, that whether it be that person in traffic that cuts you off or that person who literally says talk to the hand. That person is really saying is, you know what, I'm gonna smack you in the face the way that I feel smacked in the face. I'm gonna do to you the way that, you know, the only sort of dialogue that people know, they're mimicking it. You go back to a baby, how a baby learns language. Mimicking, mirroring our behavior. And people who speak in such, you know, talk to the hand sort of ways as their way of getting their way with other people, that coercive way, and there are many other ways that we bully people into doing what we want them to do, either through our positions, through our physique, through you know, whatever it may be. That person is only mirroring what has worked for them in the past. They've been subordinated by some talk to the hand in the past, and so they do it to somebody else easily. It's what they do. It's what they know how to do. It rings true for them. It makes sense to them even. They've seen it work. It worked for other people. When my mama smacked me down, it works. So I go, you know, I go to school and I smack other kids down because I can. And then you even learn that disparity of power is reasonable for you. It makes sense. It makes sense to dominate, doesn't it? It makes sense that a majority would dominate a minority, that people would think that even culturally that assimilation is a way of life. I mean, even on a grander scale. So I ask you and I challenge you to look at, you know, in your everyday life, do you need to dominate those around you in order to feel harmony? Because compliance is not harmony. But to really have an earnest, you know, subject-to-subject dialogue, as Bohook says. So that's why I chant, so that I can always be in a position to foster a subject-to-subject dialogue. Even when someone acts in a way that I might perceive as wanting to subjugate me or demand that I subjugate them, I will always want to bring out the bigger and better self in me and in them. Thank you.